Do you feel lost in the night of uncertainty when the very ground beneath you, your finances, your relationships, suddenly crumbles? In the storm, we panic, grasping for a lifeline on the outside. But Socrates, the great teacher of humanity, revealed a truth that is both harsh and liberating. The only true lifeline lies within your own mind.
This video offers no empty platitudes. This is a journey to help you reconstruct your inner citadel. From the ashes transforming your pain into the fuel for wisdom and growth.
Take a deep breath, silence the noise, and join me in discovering the source of true freedom, a freedom that no adversity can ever take away. Dear lost souls, those bearing the burden of adversity on your shoulders, I write these lines as the night of uncertainty covers many corners of modern life. We live in an era of information overload, but starve for knowledge, an excess of connection, but a lack of understanding. When storms strike, loss of assets, broken relationships, or the collapse of old beliefs, we often panic, seeking a life buoy on the outside. But Socrates, the great teacher of humanity, and later Stoics like Epictetus or Marcus Aurelius, all pointed out that the only life buoy lies right within our own mindset. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. This is perhaps the greatest paradox, and also the most effective antidote for the soul that Socrates left behind. In my years of studying Stoic philosophy, I have realized that the vast majority of human suffering stems from the arrogance of the ego, the self that assumes it knows how the world must operate, how others must treat it.
When you encounter adversity, you often scream, "Why me? This is unfair." That question stems from the assumption that you know about fairness. You know about the laws of cause and effect. But Socrates teaches us to bow our heads, knowing that one knows nothing is not inferiority. It is liberation. For you who are failing in business or career, apply this sentence. Do not torment yourself over past wrong decisions based on old knowledge. Accept that at that moment you did not know. And right now, instead of pretending to be strong, admit that you are standing before a problem with no solution yet. Intellectual humility is the first step to rebirth. When you admit your cup is empty, life can pour new wine into it. Let go of the burden of having to be always right. The relief of saying, "I do not know, teach me," is the beginning of tranquility. There is only one good knowledge and one evil ignorance, and I often shudder before the cold yet compassionate profundity of the statement. Socrates did not define evil As demons or external enemies, he defined evil as ignorance. In my Stoic view, no one intentionally does evil if they truly understand the good. Someone who deceives you, betrays you, or even you harming yourself with bad habits, all stem from ignorance regarding the true value of happiness and virtue. They think money is good, so they trade their conscience, that is ignorance. They think momentary pleasure is good, so they destroy their health, that is ignorance. If you are harboring hatred because someone harmed you, this saying will help you drop the knife in your heart. View the one who hurt you as a sick person. Their illness is ignorance. Do you get angry at a blind person for stepping on your foot? No, you only feel pity. Transform pain into the motivation to seek knowledge. Knowledge here is not degrees, but an understanding of human nature and natural laws. Learn to protect yourself with wisdom, not revenge. Revenge is a poison. One drinks expecting the other to die, whereas knowledge is an indestructible shield. Wonder is the beginning of wisdom. In the darkest days, when you feel life is entirely gray, that is when you have lost the capacity for wonder. Children are always happy because they see a crawling ant as a miracle. Adults suffer because they view the sunrise as obvious love, as a duty, and life as a burden. Socrates reminds me that philosophy begins with pure curiosity. Why are we here? Why does this pain exist? What lesson lies behind this failure? O despairing ones, I advise you to try a small Stoic exercise. The view from above. Look up at the night sky, observe the operation of the universe. Be curious about it. When you let your mind wonder before the greatness of creation, your personal pain suddenly becomes insignificant. Do not let emotional callousness kill your soul. Look at your adversity with curious eyes. What is this storm trying to teach me? When you shift from the state of victim to the state of researcher of life, you have begun to seize control of fate. Understanding a question is half an answer. We often run to find answers before truly understanding the question. In the life of consulting and listening to unfortunate lives, I see that most people ask wrongly. They ask, how do I get rich again quickly, instead of asking, why did I become poor and what true value can I provide to society? They ask, how do I make that person come back, instead of asking, what has this relationship taught me about how to love myself? Socrates is the master of the art of questioning Socratic method. He never gave answers immediately. He asked back so the interlocutor could realize the truth themselves. When you are at an impasse, stop. Do not act chaotically. Do not borrow everywhere to patch financial holes. Do not text frantically to cling to affection. Sit down and write out your problem as clearly as possible.
What is my greatest fear? What is the worst that could happen? When you define the monster you are facing in detail, you will find it half as terrifying. Clarity is power. A correctly oriented question will automatically lead the way to the solution. It is better to change an opinion than to persist in a wrong one. This is the statement that challenges the ego the most. In Stoic philosophy, we call stubbornness slavery to false impressions. Many people sink deep into the quagmire of failure simply because they refuse to admit the old path was wrong. They stubbornly hold on to a losing investment, stubbornly hold on to a toxic marriage, stubbornly hold on to an extreme political belief just because they fear the feeling of, I was wrong. Socrates held that mental flexibility is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. A rigid tree will break in the storm, but the soft grass that knows how to bend with the wind survives. My friend, if life is slapping you hard in the face, it is a sign the universe is saying the old way is no longer effective. Be brave enough to change. Changing an opinion does not mean you lack steadfastness. It means you are evolving. Do not cling to the title of director, manager, or successful person of the past. If currently you need to do manual labor to feed your family, there is no shame in molting. The only shame is drowning with the sunken ship just because you refuse to jump into the water to swim. It's a brave act of a warrior who dares to discard a blunt weapon to pick up a sharper one. Do you share my view? Sometimes conservatism will cause you to make grave errors. Sometimes conservatism can lead you to unavoidable failures. Do not be too conservative. Listen and act. The modern world teaches us to look outward at stock tickers, at neighbors' houses, at phone screens. But paradoxically, the more we look out, the emptier we feel. When adversity strikes, those external things shatter like sea foam. Only what we have built within dignity, tranquility, and the capacity for self-inquiry remain as assets after the conflagration of fate. Let me lead you through the 7 steps of self-cultivation that Socrates left behind. An unexamined life is not worth living. This is Socrates' most famous manifesto and also his harshest wake-up call. At his trial, he chose death over a silent life, a life drifting like flotsam, not knowing where it was going. What does unexamined mean? It means living by inertia, waking up to work because everyone works, marrying because one is of age, getting angry because someone teased you. That is the life of a puppet pulled by the strings of circumstance and social prejudice. To me, that is not living. That is merely existing. To those feeling stuck, are you suffering because you have lived an unexamined life for too long? Have you chased financial goals without ever asking yourself, what is the use of abundant money if the soul is exhausted? The current adversity
is a golden opportunity for you to begin examining. Treat this failure as a forced pause. Take out pen and paper and dissect your life. 1. Why did I choose this path? What are my core values? 3. Am I living for myself? Or am I acting out a role for others to watch? When you begin to examine your life, you begin to master it. Do not fear facing ugly truths. A cleansed wound, though painful, will heal. A hidden wound will gangrene. Thyself. The inscription on the Temple of Delphi is concise, but weighs 1,000 pounds. Knowing yourself is not simply knowing your name or hobbies. For Stoic philosophy, knowing yourself is knowing clearly your place in the cosmos, knowing your limits, and most importantly, knowing the demons within your own soul. We often suffer delusions about our own strength when the wind is fair. But when storms arrive, we realize our weakness, our cowardice, and our greed. Socrates advises us to look straight into those dark corners. In times of difficulty, self-awareness is the strongest weapon. Be brutally honest with yourself. If you are bankrupt, admit, I was greedy, lacked management knowledge, instead of blaming the market. If your marriage is broken, admit, I was thoughtless, my ego was too big, instead of blaming your partner. Only when you know where you stand can you draw a map to get to where you want to be. Do not hide from your own inadequacies. Admitting weakness is the first step of strength. To find yourself, think for yourself. Society is a giant assimilation machine. From childhood, we are taught to think like the majority, to fear what the majority fears, and to desire what the majority desires. Socrates was the enemy of herd mentality. He wandered throughout Athens, asking questions to expose hollow prejudices. To find yourself, you must dare to detach from the crowd. You must dare to harbor independent thoughts, even if they go against the whole world. Oh, those lonely in adversity. Perhaps that solitude is necessary. When you fall from grace, the crowd leaves you. Do not be that as a gift. When the noise of praise or criticism vanishes, only then can you hear your own true voice. Ask yourself, is success truly that luxury car? Or is success peace of mind? Do not let society's definitions impose upon you anymore. Build your own code of living. A person who knows how to think for themselves will never be lost, for the lighthouse lies right within their head. Let him who would move the world first move himself.
And this is the core of accountability in philosophy. We all want to change the world, change our boss, change our spouse, change the system. But rarely does anyone agree to change themselves. We look outward too much
and look inward too little. Socrates and the Stoics believed that the outer world is a reflection of the inner world. You cannot clean the trash on the street if your own house is messy. If you are feeling helpless before your circumstances, remember this. You cannot control the wind direction, but you can adjust the sails. Instead of sitting and whining, "Why does the world treat me so badly?" Ask, "What can I change in myself right now?" You cannot change the economy, but you can change your work skills. You cannot change the past, but you can change your attitude toward it. True power does not lie in controlling others, but lies in self-mastery. Start with the smallest things. Waking up early, exercising, reading. When you can move your habits, you will see the world around you automatically move along. Employ your time in improving yourself by other men's writings. Socrates, though he left no written works, he only spoke, understood the value of intellectual inheritance. This is the wisest shortcut. Why must we personally undergo 100,000 pains to draw a lesson when we can learn it through the pages of great figures who suffered before us? Reading is not entertainment. To me, reading is a dialogue with history's greatest souls. When you are at the bottom of the abyss, you often feel solitary, thinking your pain is unique. No, my friend. Read the meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, or the Analects of Confucius. You will see that emperors and saints also suffered torment, pain, and despair, just like you. Borrow their wisdom as a ladder to climb out of the deep pit. Do not waste time on toxic social media. Exploit the intellectual labor of the ancients to enrich your soul. That is an investment that never suffers a loss. We cannot live better than in seeking to become better. This statement emphasizes the process rather than the outcome. Happiness is not a destination where everything is perfect. Happiness lies right on the path of striving for improvement every day. Socrates taught that humans are never perfect, but the duty of humans is to aim for perfection. Right. Virtue. Do not torment yourself because you are not immediately successful. Do not compare your life with the lives of others. If today you are a little more patient than yesterday, that is living well. If today you complain one sentence less than yesterday, that is living well. Find joy in small wins. For those facing difficulty, the pressure to be spectacularly successful can kill them. But the goal of being 1% better than yesterday is achievable by anyone. Nurture hope from those small steps. Beware the barrenness of a busy life, a terrifying prophecy for the 4.0 era. We glorify busyness, hustle culture. We think being busy is important, is success. But Socrates calls that barrenness. A busy land grows full of weeds, but bears no fruit of wisdom. Seneca later also spoke of busy idleness, running around but going nowhere. We keep busy to avoid facing ourselves. If you have just lost your job or business is stagnant and you feel panicked because you are idle, change your perspective. Stillness is not the enemy. Use this quiet interval to water your barren soul. Do not try to fill your schedule with useless tasks just to feel valuable. Your value lies in your being, not in how many things you are doing. Slow down, observe a blooming flower, drink a cup of tea fully. Sometimes doing less brings more meaning. Do not let busyness rob you of true life. If the inner self is the root, then actions and words are the fruit. A rotting tree cannot bear sweet fruit, just as a deceitful soul cannot create a truly glorious life. In the storm of adversity, the first things to be blown away are the masks. And that, my friend, is the opportunity for truth to reign supreme. Socrates did not teach us how to be famous. He taught us how to live with honor. Let us distinguish clearly. Reputation is what others think of you. Honor is what you know about yourself. The greatest way to live with honor in this world is to be the person we pretend to be. Miller quote, "The shortest and surest way to live with honor is to be in reality the whole, what we would in appearance be thought to be." Look at the picture of society today. We see radiant smiles on social media, successful businessmen preaching morality and perfectly happy families. But what percentage of that is the truth Socrates saw through the human heart more than 2,000 years ago? We waste too much energy pretending. We wear masks to be loved, to be respected. But do you know maintaining a role is the most exhausting thing in the world? It is like straining yourself to hold a large boulder over your head. When adversity strikes, you are exhausted and that boulder crushes you. The collapse of many people does not come from financial difficulties, but from their inability to continue maintaining the false facade. As humans, everyone wants to live in the halo of glory. Some people, when successful, often speak words as if teaching the world. Sometimes they speak the philosophies of the successful. Sometimes they cross the line. But they do not suspect that today you are at the peak of glory. Tomorrow you may sink deep into a dark hell. Life is like that. The school of life is like that. Do not use instant moral platitudes to lecture the world. Do you belong to this group of people? Perhaps. But the view of Stoicism is, a flower will naturally emit fragrance. It needs no aid from the wind. My friend, I send this to you who are losing your footing. I know you are in pain because you have lost your old halo. You are afraid people will see your failure. But Socrates advises you, put the boulder down, let the pretending vanish. Become your own truth. If you are poor, live truly with the status of someone striving to overcome difficulty. Do not borrow to pretend you are rich. If you do not know, say, I do not know. Authenticity brings a terrifying power. When you have nothing left to hide, you become invincible. No one can expose you because you are already naked before the truth. That is the shortest and surest way to regain honor. A person who dares to live truly with their circumstances always receives deeper respect than someone wealthy but fake. False words are not only evil in themselves, but they infect the soul with evil. This is a warning about soul hygiene. We often think telling a small lie is fine as long as the goal is achieved. But Socrates and the Stoic school consider truth the foundation of reality. Logos. When you lie, you create a crack in your own perception. You must remember that lie, then create another lie to cover it up. Gradually, your soul becomes infected. You lose the ability to distinguish what is real from what is fake. You become suspicious of everyone because you think everyone is as deceitful as you. That is the evil gnawing at the soul. In times of destitution, the temptation to lie is immense. Lying to creditors, lying to family, lying to yourself that everything is still fine. Do not do that. A lie is a debt with the highest interest rate. If you are in trouble, be brave enough to speak the truth. I have failed. I am currently unable to pay the debt, but I promise to pay gradually. The truth may be painful at first, but it has a healing quality. It liberates you from the psychological burden. Preserving honesty in adversity is how you protect your final asset, that is credibility. Money lost can be earned back, but credibility and the purity of the soul once lost are very hard to restore. People often say that sometimes lying a little is okay, even lying to achieve a good thing. But Stoicism does not think so. The Stoic view is that if it is a lie, it is deceit, deceit toward others, deceit toward oneself. Just speak the truth, even if the consequences may be cruel. But the truth is the truth. You cannot lie to achieve an end. Speak the truth, accept the cruel reality, and from there, improve yourself and find a way to resolve the consequences. Do not deceive. Especially do not deceive yourself. That is the view of Stoicism. Worthless people live only to eat and drink. People of worth eat and drink only to live. This statement delineates the boundary between hedonism and purpose. Eat and drink. Here is a metaphor for all material desires: money, fame, lust, comfort. Mediocre people let these desires master them. They are slaves to the stomach and the senses. Their lives revolve around satisfying bottomless hunger. Conversely, the noble person considers material things only as means, like fuel for a vehicle to nourish the body in order to fulfill higher purposes: service, creation, love.
and the cultivation of wisdom. My dear friend, if you are falling into a state of material deprivation, view this as an opportunity to practice the minimalist lifestyle minimalism of the sages. Do not feel self-pity when seeing others eating well and dressing beautifully. Ask yourself, what am I living for? If your purpose in living is higher than eating well and dressing beautifully, then the current lack cannot harm your dignity. Turn the body into a loyal servant. Do not turn it into a demanding master. When you eat only to live, you are free. You are no longer bound by the fear of poverty because your needs have become simple. That is the wealth of the soul. If a man is proud of his wealth, he should not be praised until it is known how he employs it. In Stoic philosophy, money is an indifferent thing. It is neither good nor bad. It is merely an amplifier. If you give money to a good person, they do good deeds. If you give money to a bad person, they do evil deeds. Socrates reminds us not to be dazzled by the halo of gold and silver. Wealth is not a measure of character. How wealth is used defines the human being. A wealthy but stingy person, or one who uses money to oppress others, is more contemptible than a poor but chivalrous person. This advice works both ways. For those currently in poverty, do not feel inferior. Your value does not lie in your account balance. Do not look at the rich with blind desire or envy. Look at how they live. If they live unethically, they are merely poor people with lots of money. You may be poor in money, but rich in self-respect and benevolence. For those rising up and finding success again, remember this lesson for the future. When you become wealthy again, and I believe you will, if you maintain your spirit, remember that money does not make your class. How you use money to help the world, help people, and nurture wisdom is what makes you respectable. The quotes that you and I have just gone through are a mirror for us to correct our posture in life. In adversity, honor is not hollow vanity. Honor is loyalty to truth. Dare to live true to circumstances, do not pretend. Dare to speak true to conscience, do not lie. Dare to live for a high purpose, do not be a slave to material things. When you keep your character clean, amidst the mud of difficulty, you have won half the battle. You have proven that circumstances can rob you of your assets, but they cannot rob you of your dignity. Our baggage has become heavier with precious gems. But alas, no matter how beautiful a person's character is, they still always crave one thing: happiness. How to be happy when your hands are empty. How to be content when the heart is full of scratches. We are taught that happiness is addition, adding money, adding houses, adding lovers, adding fame.
But Stoic philosophy and Socrates teach that happiness is subtraction, subtracting desire, subtracting fear, subtracting artificial needs. That is the difference between Stoic philosophy and ordinary human thinking. Do you believe this? The more you desire, the more ambitious you are, the more you suffer. When you are facing adversity, you think you are losing. But from Socrates' perspective, perhaps you are being unburdened to return to a state of primal lightness. Contentment is natural wealth. Luxury is artificial poverty. This statement completely overturns the world's economic order. Contentment is the state of lacking nothing. When you are content, you feel enough. And the person who feels enough is the richest, regardless of how much money they have. When you chase luxury, you create new needs that you did not have before.
You buy a luxury car, suddenly you need expensive insurance, a fancy garage, and branded clothes to match the car. You become lacking in more things. That is poverty created by yourself. Oh, those anxious about finances, listen to me. Your suffering often does not come from a lack of food and clothing, natural needs, but from the inability to maintain your old lifestyle, artificial needs. Are you suffering because you have to ride a motorbike instead of a car? That is artificial poverty. Are you suffering because you cannot travel abroad this year? That is artificial poverty. Socrates advises you: return to basic needs. A roof to shelter from rain and sun, a simple meal, a good night's sleep. If you have those things, you are wealthy, according to natural law. Cut down on luxurious desires. When you need less, your freedom increases. Do not let society define your wealth. Define it yourself by the peace in your soul. He who is not contented with what he has would not be contented with what he would like to have. This is the psychological trap that the modern era calls the hedonic treadmill. We always deceive ourselves. If only I had 1 billion, I would be happy. When we have 1 billion, we are happy for a few days, then feel empty again and want 5 billion. If your mind is programmed in dissatisfied mode, even if you throw the whole world into it, it will still find something to complain about. Happiness is not a destination. It is a habit of the mind. If you are waiting for when the difficulties end for me to be happy, you will wait a lifetime. Learn to find joy right within adversity. It may sound cliche, but it is the only way to survive. You lost your job. Be grateful you still have the health to find a new one. You lost money. Be grateful you still have your family by your side. If you cannot be happy with a glass of water, you will never be happy with a glass of wine, because when drinking wine, you will worry about it running out or compare it to a more expensive wine. Practice gratitude right here, right now.
That is the foundation to receive better things to come. Envy is the ulcer of the soul, a painful but accurate metaphor. An ulcer corrodes the body from within, causing dull pain and is hard to heal. Envy is the same. It does not harm the person you envy. It kills you. When you envy, you are drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. You compare your trash-filled backstage with someone else's glamorous stage. This comparison is the greatest thief of joy. In the age of social media, this ulcer is becoming a pandemic. When you are failing seeing friends succeed, drive nice cars, and check in at fancy places, your gut wrenches. That is a natural reaction, but stop it immediately. Remember Socrates' words. Part 1. You know nothing about their lives. Behind that smiling photo might be a hellish marriage or a massive debt. Focus on your own track. Envy is a sign you are looking in the wrong direction. Turn envy into admiration or positive indifference. Heal that ulcer with the mindset, everyone has their own time zone. Their flowers bloom today, mine will bloom tomorrow as long as I keep watering them. From the deepest desires often come the deadliest hate. Socrates touches the core of extreme emotion. Love and hate are two sides of the same coin. Attachment. When you desire something excessively, a lover, a position, a sum of money, you hand over control of your happiness to that thing. And when that thing does not respond or betrays you, disappointment transforms into brutal hatred. Humanity's greatest tragedies all stem from uncontrolled passion. The philosopher's advice for those suffering from love or failed ambition: practice letting go of possession. Love but do not bind. Strive but do not be obstinate about the result. The Stoic attitude is called apatheia, equanimity, not letting emotions dominate. Keep a safe distance from your desires. I want success, but if I fail, I am still me. I love that person, but if they leave, I still live well. When you reduce the depth of the desire to possess, you eliminate the seeds of hatred and suffering. Serenity only comes when you stop clenching your fist and start opening your hand. The quotes we have walked through together above have taught us a priceless lesson. You do not need anything more to be happy. You already have all the necessary ingredients right within you. True wealth is the absence of insatiable desire. True happiness is the ability to cherish the present. We have cultivated ourselves, shaped our character, and found the source of peace. But humans are social animals, zoon politikon. We do not live alone on a desert island. How do we apply this wisdom to dealing with people? How to choose friends, choose a spouse, and live amidst a society full of weak minds? When you encounter difficulties, Social relationships are often the source of the greatest pain, but also contain the greatest salvation. You will see betrayal, coldness, but also compassionate hands. Socrates teaches us how to filter out the noise to find the true melodies of humanity. Strong minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Weak minds discuss people. This is the compass to locate the level of thinking. Weak minds, addicted to drama, addicted to judgment, speaking ill behind backs. They live on negative energy from others' mistakes. Average minds discuss current events, prices, accidents, things floating on the surface of life. Strong minds discuss solutions, the future philosophy and the laws governing the world. Oh, those who are failing, look at the environment around you. When you fall from grace, weak minds will gloat or gossip about you if you are a tasty prey. Do not waste a single second being heartbroken over them. Do not try to explain to them. Upgrade your circle of relationships. Seek out those who dare to discuss ideas, to revive a business, ideas to live better, ideas to contribute. That is where you belong. If you cannot find anyone, make friends with great books. Better to be alone with great ideas than to blend into a toxic crowd. Think not those faithful who praise all thy words and actions, but those who kindly reprove thy faults. Socrates despised sycophants. When you succeed, you are surrounded by people clapping their hands. They are the anesthesia that makes you sleep on victory and leads to later collapse. A true friend is a mirror that cannot lie. They are willing to offend you to help you improve. That is an act of courageous love. Adversity is the greatest filter of friendship. When money runs out and love fades, sycophants will fly away like sparrows at the sound of a gunshot. The person who remains by your side, who dares to say, "You are wrong, wake up," who dares to point out your flaws when the whole world turns its back. Cherish that person with your life. Do not be touchy when criticized at this moment. Honest words are like bitter medicine. Swallow it to heal the disease of delusion. Thank the person who dared to reprove you, for they are the benefactor, saving the rest of your life. By all means, marry. If you get a good wife, you'll become happy. If you get a bad one, you'll become a philosopher. A witty quote, but steeped in the Stoic spirit, amor fati, love of fate. Socrates had a famously fierce wife named Xanthippe. She often scolded and even threw water in his face. But Socrates did not leave her, nor did he resent her. He considered her the trainer for his patience. He said, "If I can endure anyone in the world." This advice is for those facing marital trouble amidst difficulties. Financial pressure often leads to family conflict. Instead of whining, "Why did I marry this person?" change your perspective. If your spouse is understanding, that is a blessing. Enjoy the happiness. If your spouse nags and blames, view this as an opportunity to forge calmness, tolerance, and listening skills. Every relationship brings value, either happiness or maturity. Do not let go hastily. Learn the lesson that relationship brings. Do not do to others what angers you if done to you by others. This is the ancient version of the golden rule, or rather the silver rule, negative. It is the foundation of empathy. Humans often have double standards, strict with others, but lenient with themselves. We are angry when deceived, yet willing to deceive to escape debt. Socrates forces us to be consistent. When you are backed into a corner, the survival instinct rises, inciting you to harm others, to protect yourself. Cheating, evading responsibility, shifting blame. Stop. Recall the pain when you were treated poorly. Do not replicate that pain. If you are a victim, do not turn yourself into the next perpetrator. Maintaining kindness when being treated unfairly is the pinnacle of human dignity. It proves you are not corrupted by circumstances. I am not an Athenian or a Greek, but a citizen of the world. This idea of cosmopolitanism was thousands of years ahead of its time. Socrates refused to be limited by geographical borders or tribal prejudices. He saw humanity as a unified whole. This expands the mind, helping us escape customs and the pressure of the village. If you are failing and feel ashamed before neighbors, relatives, or the small community where you live, remember this sentence: the world is vast. Failure here can be a beginning elsewhere. Prejudice in this place may be meaningless in another. Do not let the pond mentality bind your wings. Look broader. You are a child of the universe, not a slave to the public opinion of a neighborhood. Have the courage to find new lands, new opportunities. If the old place can no longer contain your talent, I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. This is the method of spiritual midwifery maieutic. Socrates believed that the truth is already available within everyone. His task was only to help them give birth to it. He did not impose knowledge, he stimulated thinking. True education is not cramming, but liberation. Do not wait for someone to come and hand you a success formula or a magic potion to solve all problems. No one can save you but yourself. The words I speak or the books you read only serve to make you think. It is your thinking, your action that creates results. Believe in the wisdom within you. You have enough answers for your life. It is just that you have not dared to ask questions
deep enough. Stand confidently on your own feet. We have just walked through more meaningful quotes under the gaze of Stoicism. Those sayings have taught us how to live proudly between heaven and earth. 1. Choose your friends, strong minds. 2. Cherish honest, unpleasant words. 3. Turn enemies into teachers of patience. 4. Expand your vision to the whole world. And thereby, when we have known how to live a human life fully, we must face the final thing, the most terrifying, but also the most certain thing, death. Why did Socrates drink the cup of poison as calmly as drinking a toast? Why did he call death a blessing? Let us explore the next sentences together. Speaking to understand that death is a blessing. Why do we speak of death when you are finding a way to live, finding a way to overcome adversity? Because, my friend, how you view death will shape how you live this life. If you view death as a terrible punishment, you will live in anxiety, clinging with cowardice. But if you view death as an inevitable law or even a grace, you will live with courage and cherish every moment. The concept of Confucius is birth, old age, sickness, death. Naturally, if there is birth, there must be death. That is the law of nature, the law of the life cycle. Socrates transformed death from a phantom into a friend. Death may be the greatest of all human blessings. This is a shocking declaration. Why is death a blessing? Socrates argued that we fear death because we think it is evil, but that is arrogance, pretending to know what we do not know. According to him, death can only be one of two things. 1, a long sleep without dreams. That is absolute rest. No more pain, no more anxiety. Who does not like a good sleep after a long day of hard work? Life is a work day, and death is a peaceful night's sleep. 2, a migration of the soul. The soul escapes the prison of the body to go to another place where we can meet departed sages like Homer or Orpheus. Is that not supreme joy? Whichever case it is, death is liberation from the bonds and suffering of the earthly world. To those enduring extreme pain, whether physical pain from disease or mental pain from loss, look at death with gentler eyes. I do not advise you to seek death suicide to flee responsibility. Stoic philosophy advises us to fight to the very end. However, this mindset helps you release fear. When you realize death is not the worst thing, living in disgrace and immorality is the worst thing you will possess. Extraordinary strength. What can they do to me? Kill me. That is just sending me to a peaceful sleep. When you do not fear death, no one can threaten you. No adversity can make you kneel. You become absolutely free. Live each day as if it were the last, not in panic, but in deep appreciation. Be of good cheer about death,
And know this of a truth, that no evil can happen to a good man, either in life or after death. This is the diamond of Socratic and Stoic philosophy. This is the most powerful consolation ever uttered. Socrates redefines the concepts of evil and good. Evil is not poverty, disease, being slandered, or being killed. Those are merely external impacts on the body. True evil is when our soul is stained by baseness, greed, and deceit. The good man is one who preserves virtue and the integrity of the soul. Therefore, if you are a good person, if you preserve your conscience, then even if people imprison you, confiscate your assets, or kill you, they cannot harm you. They cannot touch your noble soul. The divine or the universe/logos will never abandon a good person. My dear friend, perhaps you are feeling life is unfair. You do good but encounter bad luck. You live kindly but are deceived. And you ask yourself, why do bad things happen to good people? Socrates answers, they do not encounter bad things. They only encounter the challenges of external circumstances. Those things cannot touch their human essence. Be steadfast. If you lose all assets but still keep your honesty, you have lost nothing. You are still absolutely safe within your citadel of morality. This quote is the final shield for you. Hold your head high. Do not fear the future. Do not fear death. As long as you live true to your conscience, this universe will protect your soul. That peace is something no one can steal away. O traveler, my friends, this life is full of adversity. Storms will come, the night will fall. I do not promise that after reading this essay, your difficulties will disappear immediately. Money will not fall into your pocket, and pain will not naturally dissolve. But I promise you this, your mindset has changed. Now you are no longer a weak victim of fate. You have been equipped with the weapon of a philosopher. You have the lamp of Socrates to light the way, and the shield of Stoicism to protect you. Stand up, dust off your shoulders, and move forward. Turn adversity into fuel to burn the fire of wisdom. Live a life worth living, an examined life. Because in the end, no evil can happen to a good man. May you be peaceful and steadfast on the path ahead. We have journeyed through the night to find the dawn of wisdom. Remember, my friends, philosophy is not just for reading. It is a weapon for living. The storm outside may not have stopped yet, but the panic inside, that is now under your command. You have the lamp of Socrates. You have the shield of Stoicism. The rest depends on your courage to take the next step. If this message reached your soul today, leave a comment below with the phrase, I am the citadel. Let it be your declaration that from this moment on, you are the master of your fate. Subscribe to join our community of seekers. Together, we do not just survive the storm, we become the storm. Until we meet again, walk with your head high. No evil can touch a good man.